Welcome to the Sourcing Industry Landscape Podcast, powered by SIG Org and hosted by Dawn Tiura.
Well, folks, welcome back to the podcast series. I am so excited to be joined in the studio today with Satyen Pathak. Now, Satyen, first off, I want to say welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be folks,
here. I'm so excited for you to be here. Now, we are going to be talking about procurement crystal ball, top priorities for CPOs to future-proof their operations. So what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of background about Satyen, because he is ProcureAbility's managing director in India. And he's going to share his predictions about emerging trends that will reshape procurement. And he's just going to help us talk about what CPOs need to keep front and center to future-proof their strategies. So as managing director, Satyen manages a dual portfolio of leading India and Asia, along with managing global solutions and digital transformation functions. Satyen has over 29 years of diverse experience across supply chain and strategic procurement in both business services, consulting, and manufacturing. He's managed throughout his career a number of roles across business, sales, business development, sales, Six Sigma, and new product development. Now, spending the first 12 years of your career in core manufacturing gave Satyen an opportunity to work with supply chains of leading clientele across automotive, rail, and heavy industries. Prior to joining ProcureAbility, he spent 17 years managing global transformation roles focused on procurement. He holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and an MBA in general management. He's a certified Six Sigma practitioner. And just to share a little bit about him personally, in his free time, he'd like to read. He likes to read, solve puzzles, and learn new skills. He's also an avid follower of soccer and loves watching the various European Premier Leagues, especially the EPL. Satyen, that is quite the resume that I just shared.
Yeah, I hope I live up to the expectations.
You are the subject matter expert. So I want to start off by talking about the CPO's priorities are evolving, and the world is changing so quickly. So is there a trend that you're seeing? Is there something that you can share about how CPO's priorities have evolved?
Yeah, sure. Great question to kick off, Dawn. We are certainly seeing a dual trend here. To begin with, the core priorities of CPOs haven't changed. We still continue to see driving structured category management. That's always been a focus, and it continues to be a focus. Secondly, equally important, getting procurement to be a strategic partner for businesses, getting the seat at that exec table. That's always been a priority. It continues to be there. Importance of good data, good market intelligence. That's another one that's continuing to be important. And another thing that's traditionally has been there is selecting the right tech stack. And that has continued. But what we have seen, we consult like hundreds of companies as an advisor, and few things we have seen emerge is this advent of new technologies, especially AI and GenAI, but going beyond that. And in the spirit of staying focused, I would like to focus on I would have stayed true to two or three of them, which have really been critical in our mind, and they're really interesting. They're somewhat related to each other, and that's where I would like to focus. So first and foremost is obviously advent of AI, GenAI, and now agentic AI. Right, that's been front and center of every conversation we have been having. It continues, and it will continue to be so. But equally important, I think, is this continued focus on ESG. The criticality and regional focus continues to go up and down, but the importance continues to be there, and I think it's ever the more given the current situation we are in. And lastly, I think I would like to highlight is this leveraging analytics, market intelligence, and risk as an overall decision support system for CPOs. So those are the three things I think we are seeing are really critical when CPOs are shaping their vision for future.
Yeah, so I'd like to dive into your third point, which is leveraging analytics, market intelligence, and risk solutions. Can you share how is that evolving? Is it just because there's so much more information available? But can you talk about that one for me?
Sure. And the fundamental concept is not new, right? We always knew that we needed to focus on driving rigorous analytics. We wanted to focus on getting great market intelligence, and we wanted to manage risk. But what we have seen is there are two things that are primarily changing. First and foremost is the data, right? The sheer three V's that we talk about, right? The volume, velocity, and variability of the data is changing dramatically. We are getting, now the data sources have exploded also, right? So we are getting data from variety of sources. Most of the data is now real time, and it's getting increasingly granular. So that's the first part of it, right? Now
So you're saying
add to
it
that,
is more towards real time.
absolutely.
Okay, I want to make sure I heard
Absolutely.
you correctly. Yeah, so I agree.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the second thing is the tech that's available to manage this data. So now you've got terabytes and terabytes of data, but now you've got tech that can handle that. So you've got traditional and GenAI that can handle it. You've got big data capabilities, and you've got the cloud infrastructure to manage the whole thing. So now you can process this diverse and sometimes ambiguous amount of data, and one is you can do it efficiently, and at the same time you can quickly drive meaningful insights and provide those insights to the CPOs and category managers and sourcing managers almost real time. That's
Yeah.
really the exciting part here. Like, I'll give you an example. We are seeing predictive intelligence gain traction, right? Like, for instance, the models that can forecast, let's say, media rate inflation or emerging ESG controversies months and months ahead of it. So that kind of moves procurement from the reactive risk management, to a proactive opportunity management. And other thing that we are seeing is we always looked at market intelligence, risk, and analytics kind of discrete solutions, but now you're able to combine and get almost like a 360-degree view. So what you can do is you can get traditional market intelligence, which is outward looking. You can combine the risk alerts, and again, these are near real time given the ability of GenAI, and then you can combine that with your inward looking spend analytics, and suddenly now you have a 360-degree view of your, and again, you can go at any granularity you want. You can get it at org level, you can get it at category level, and you can get it at supplier level. So that's really the exciting part, and it's been driven by multitudes of factors as we discussed. So really excited about this.
Yeah, and so what you're saying too is that a CPO has to be tech forward in their thinking because, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, any of these suites that we acquired weren't doing Gen AI. They said they had some AI, but they weren't doing Gen AI the way we are now. So is this new technology that you're seeing, or is it just existing technology that's been upgraded?
It's no, it's a lot of it is new tech. And as I said, the one is the tech that can get all that data to you, and the second is the tech that can handle all this data and give meaningful insights. And actually, Don, you make a great point that one is there'll be tech that will be available, but not just the CPO, but the key procurement leaders have to retrain or like make themselves capable of looking at those insights and being able to handle those and take those critical decisions that we always wanted procurement organizations to take, right? So
Yeah.
now the tech is available, now the data is available, now the insights are available. Now the decision making has to evolve to that level and make sense of these insights and take those decisions. So that's really the priority for CPOs to retrain and reskill themselves to that extent.
Yeah, and that means that I have to have a procurement team that is open to allowing this data to flow to me, because it used to take, as a procurement person, it would take me months of studying something before I could see a trend. And now the AI and the Gen AI are bringing the trends to me. They're showing me where my risk is. So, I think I think everyone in procurement can finally admit that AI and Gen AI is actually here. It's actually working. It's not
Yep.
just something that we talk about in abstract. So where do you see these trends going in the future?
Yeah, again, great question. And honestly, there's just so much of content available on this topic. Probably just too much of it. But I just try to stay true to the trend side of it, because we consult multiple companies every year, and really clients are overwhelmed with options. One
Yeah.
is the current tech is evolving, At the same time, there are just so many startups who are trying to create niche within a niche within a niche. So clients are really overwhelmed in this space. So when we are talking to the clients, the advice they seek, I mean, obviously there are multiple things that they want to tackle, but the top three that come to my mind is first is, okay, CPOs are thinking, okay, I've invested so much in the current tech. Is this future ready? Are these current platforms and technologies investing in AI to give me that AI infusion within my current tech? So that's the first question, like the AI readiness of my current tech.
Right.
Second thing is, do I need to invest in new technology pack? Like add another tech to the already busy stack, right? And is that going to solve my AI problem, right? Now, the answer to this is obviously, both sides are evolving. The current tech providers are investing heavily, either organically or through acquisitions, into those building those AI elements into their solutions, whether it's again traditional Gen AI, agentic AI, you name it. On the other hand, there are some interesting startups that are coming up, and they are really making strides. Like for example, take procurement intake and orchestration. It wasn't existing like as a standalone solution even like a couple of years back. And now it's really hard to imagine a procurement tech stack, at least for large companies, without having an intake and orchestration tool. So that's the duality of this whole thing, that current tech is evolving, and then there are these new startups. So CPOs really have a difficult job to kind of keep track of these. And that's where they're seeking help.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely. I
other,
mean, we are constantly, meeting new tech startups in our space. And right when you think like, all right, we have everything. We don't have everything, because somebody finds a niche and they improve it and they create something completely new that we never had before. Like you said, procurement orchestration, intake orchestration. That wasn't even part of our vocabulary,
yeah,
7-8 years
absolutely.
ago.
And then you talk about supplier risk, you talk about autonomous sourcing. I mean, the potential is enormous. And
It
then,
really is.
using the Spider-Man philosophy, right? Like with great power comes great responsibility. So there's a third one that comes up is governance, right? That's the third area where clients kind of, ask us, okay, there is this whole talk about Gen AI, but then how do I ensure that either my providers or my organization is using the AI responsibly, especially
Yes.
because you're handling the supplier data, right? Not just your own data. So that's the other part of, ethical AI and, data security, where procurement is now playing a critical role. Of course, it's again, like ESG, it's a part of overall corporate objective, but procurement's role is becoming more and more critical because, we are handling that sensitive data and you want to make sure it doesn't kind of, you don't compromise your own data as well as, suppliers' data
Well,
confidentiality. So,
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I think a lot of people don't realize is that procurement is getting AI and Gen AI two different ways. One, we're buying it for our business units, marketing or sales or whoever it is. So
yeah.
we're procuring it, but then we're also using it. And then our suppliers are using it when they do work for us. So, you brought up a really good point, which a lot of people don't think about it, is that responsible AI governance is so important to have
Absolutely.
rules set up for your organization on how do you know if your AI is ethical, if it's meeting your state or federal or country laws about how you use AI, and that's constantly evolving. And so you brought up a really good point. And I don't think a lot of procurement people spend time focusing on the governance of AI and how it's going to be used in the organization or procured.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Many of these questions, we as a industry haven't really figured out like that sweet spot. I mean, we still are trying to find and explore different options, but at least now it's front and center of CPO's priorities in terms of, okay, do I have the right tech? Do I need to invest? Do I have right data governance and overall AI governance? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
again
And I think that's also going to
exciting.
evolve as governments put in rules and regulations. Right now,
Yeah.
it's unregulated. And I think
Hmm.
eventually we will, at least in the United States, excuse me, it is more regulated elsewhere. But in the US, we don't have regulations on the use of AI yet. And I think that's
I
going to
know.
be constantly evolving, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, Don, I don't know, in this current connected global world, really just one country or one region having regulations is truly helpful, right? Like you can circumvent that so much if you don't have a global standards, right? So
Mm-hmm.
because the tech is getting created somewhere, you can just use it remotely. There is cloud, so I guess, yeah, I mean there are some regions who have put in the regulations, but again there is also that balance between data security and governance at the same time in innovation, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
stifle the innovation at the same time. So again, not an easy question to answer.
No, but that's why you're going to stay employed, because they need your attention to matters like this. So it's it's
Hope
a full
so.
employment
Hope so.
act for you. Yes. So lastly, I want to ask about ESG, because it's gone in and out of focus the last few years, depending on the current administration, just the economy, everything. But what are you seeing around ESG? For a while, it was we didn't talk about it, we buried it, but we're still seeing a lot of companies focusing on ESG, even if they're not being that publicly outward about it. What are you seeing?
Again, great question, and it's kind of such a, it's got such a divergent things happening with it, right? So yeah, I mean the focus keeps going up and down. It also varies by region. Europe's kind of much more aggressive about it. US
Mm-hmm.
maybe not so. Again, it keeps going up and down. But I think at a corporate level, I don't think anyone denies the criticality of it anymore. It's just almost an existential thing now that we need to focus on. Again, it's a ESG is a broader theme, but at least the sustainability side, it's become really critical for organizations. And I think this is where procurement can play such an important role because, you know, if you think about it, like scope 1 and 2 emissions, you've like organizations have done, and even the providers have done significant work. I think the scope 3, which probably now contributes to 70 to 80%, depending on which survey you believe, that's that's really big part of it, and procurement literally can drive majority of it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are seeing continued focus on ESG. And again, we work with lots of clients, lots of projects on driving all the elements of ESG, whether it's transforming your energy purchases from conventional ones to renewable ones, putting together framework to measure and reduce scope 3 emissions, increasing diverse supplier spend, or building ESG into your supplier scorecards.
Mm-hmm.
And like they say, all roads lead to Rome. Here also, again, it comes down to again AI, right? Because AI is bringing in so much of tech in this space as well. Like our standard market intelligence reports nowadays will have GHG emissions, sustainability ratings, and other such factors. So it's becoming front and center of all the supplier conversations, whether it's a new supplier selection, whether it's ongoing supplier development, or renewals. So I don't think the importance has gone down. I think if anything, the amount of tech that's available, amount of data that's available now, it's driving much more concerted efforts. And lastly, I think what's very interesting is there has always been traditionally that feeling that the commercial attractiveness or viability is at a
Mm-hmm.
conflict with ESG objectives. And that's kind of starting to go down. And people are realizing that either the direct savings, or there are things like brand perception,
Yes.
your
The soft
corporate
side of it.
governance objectives,
Mm-hmm.
all of them have impact on your revenue or your market brand awareness or brand presence. So all that is contributing towards, like it, instead of conflicting, now they're starting to complement each other. So you can have commercially viable and commercially attractive ESG strategy as long as you're able to put in that effort and find that golden mean.
Good. I'm glad you bring that up, because I think that's always important to drill home to people that you can do both. You can be
Mhm.
sustainable, and it doesn't mean you're going to forego profits as a result of it. So thank you for bringing that up. So it's been a wonderful conversation with you, but I know we have to wrap up. Is there a key takeaway that you'd like to leave for our audience today?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Like,
Just one.
yeah, there is just so much happening. But I think, if I have to find a common theme here, that would be, that agility and ability to adapt to the ever evolving environment. I mean, it's exciting at the same time, but it's also tiring, or you struggle to keep pace with it. But if there's one ability that procurement organizations need to develop, is that agility and ability to adapt, because the environment is changing so rapidly. The tech and other things are coming up so quickly that you need to be able to adapt rapidly to the new normal until that gets disrupted again, and then other again moves it. So I think that's the key skill that one needs to develop, because it's going to continue to get volatile, but at the same time, that's the only way you can future proof your organization.
Yeah, so which means you still, like it or not, you have to stay tech forward. You have to accept that change is inevitable. You cannot have status quo and get by. And you always have to be thinking about what else can I do?
Absolutely.
Because somebody out there is going to figure out another way to introduce risk. There's always going to be the bad actors. So if we're not staying proactive, I absolutely agree. If you're not agile and rapidly adapting, you're going to fall behind. And it's not going to be pretty.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Satyen, thank you so much for your time. Can I invite people to reach out to you through LinkedIn and put you in as part of their network?
Absolutely. Pleasure to do that. And I always love talking about all these topics, so happy to engage.
So, folks, I've got an expert here, Satyen Pathak. Make sure you find him on LinkedIn. Make sure you connect with him. Make sure he's part of your network. And as you can tell, he's very knowledgeable. He will have a conversation with you. He's not there to sell you. He's not on the sales team. He's delivering. He's the guy in the trenches right now. So pick up the phone. He'll talk to you and make sure that he's part of your network. So Satyen, I want to thank you for your time today. And folks, tune into our podcast again, wherever you get your podcast. And Satyen, have a wonderful evening where you are.
And Dawn, thank you so much for inviting me. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and share my thoughts. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad you were here today. Well, thank you, folks. We'll see you again on the podcast series very soon.
Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the Sourcing Industry Landscape podcast through iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Want to nominate yourself or someone else for an interview? Email us at podcast@sig.org.